Oh, yeah. Wake up, wake up, wake up. You know what time it is. Welcome to Coach Steele's Finance Training, and I am Coach Steele. Happy to have everyone tuning in on today and look forward to working with you. And make sure, and everybody knows the house rules, when you jump in the live, tell me good morning, whether you watch it today or tomorrow, whenever you're watching this. Make sure you greet me. I want to greet you back. I'm excited about today. It is Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. And if you've been listening to Coach Steele's Finance Training, you already know we go live every Saturday morning. And we go live every Saturday morning to talk about financial literacy, to talk about all things finance, so that way we can basically make the complicated things a little more simple. Be able to break these things down to where it makes more sense and it's logical. It's easy to grasp. It's easy to understand. And that's what we do here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. So welcome to every person as you dive into the room. Make sure in the comment section or in the chat section, you comment. Of course, we are live on Facebook and we are live on YouTube. And the YouTube channel is Coach Steele's Finance Training. So if you're on the move and you need to dive over to YouTube instead of Facebook, then you can put it on your TV while you're cleaning, or if you're eating your breakfast, whatever it is you're cooking. But welcome to Coach Steele's Finance Training on today. And we have a pretty fun topic that we are going to discuss. And so we have a lot of great things going on here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. And let me see here. Let me take care of some basic things on this morning. You already see the subject. We are talking about Dave Ramsey versus Robert Kiyosaki financial philosophies. We're going to deal with these two gentlemen and their logic when it comes to finances. So those who have read the book Total Money Makeover, you'll be able to grasp and understand a little bit of what we're talking about today. And then there may be some of you that read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And so if you have dove into those books and did a little education, then it should be a pretty interesting conversation on today. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts, your comments, and on the different logic and the philosophy of the two. Some of you may have only just read one of the two books. That's fine. We'll work with the knowledge that you do have. You may have listened to some of them on YouTube or on the radio. Whatever it is, it should be a pretty interesting conversation on today as we talk about these two gentlemen and their logic when it comes to finances and financial literacy on today. And of course, like I said, if you need to, you can dive in and watch the YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Whether you watch on Facebook or not, I want you to subscribe. We are working on building up the YouTube platform, and you subscribing definitely helps me out a lot with building up that platform as well. So on this morning, this is exciting. It's exciting when you get to look at multiple ways that people view finances or financial literacy, the logic behind it. And no matter what, remember this, there is more than one way to get to the finish line financially. So as we discuss the logic and the viewpoint behind these two gentlemen when it comes to financial literacy, there's more than one way to get to the finish line. And so it's not that one person is necessarily right or one person is wrong. Two philosophies can work. One logic can get you to the finish line faster than the other, depending on your financial situation. So depending on how you handle things, whether you're conservative, whether you're aggressive, what type of job you have, whether you're an entrepreneur, you name it, your level of financial literacy, one gentleman is probably going to be better for you in that moment than the other. But as you progress financially, you may find yourself leaning to a different type of financial philosophy or logic than you would have 5-10 years ago. So you progress as you get educated more and you get to different levels. So as you're tuning in on today to Coach Steele's Finance Training, make sure you share the live That way other people can dive in here and enjoy what we're talking about today here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. We want to educate our community. We want to educate others on financial literacy. So I look forward to people interacting and commenting here on today. Should be pretty interesting to hear the comments. Now, let's get this party started. Now, first philosophy that I want to deal with about the two gentlemen, number one, is the philosophy on debt. Both of them have a different mindset when it comes to debt, whether it's, let's say Dave Ramsey. His logic is get rid of all debt. Doesn't matter what type of debt, business debt, personal debt. Dave Ramsey saying, no, I do not like debt. Get it out of your portfolio. Get it out of your mindset. Get away from any tools or devices that can put you in debt. So Dave Ramsey's logic when it comes to debt is pay it off, get rid of it, and don't use any financial tools that can create debt, or don't make financial decisions that will cause you to have to carry debt. And so when it comes to debt, Dave Ramsey has creative ways that he teaches in his book for a average person to get out of debt. And usually he sticks with some of the basics, which is the snowball method. And if you do have debt, basically he says, write down all those debts and look at the balance on all your debts. Let's say you had 3 debts and the balance on all 3 was $1,000, $2,000, and $3,000. He would say, start paying off that $1,000 debt. And when you pay that off, whatever monthly payments that you were paying to the $1,000, roll that over and start making extra payments towards the $2,000 debt. And while you're doing this, you're creating a snowball of money to knock out the next debt faster. And so you're making minimum monthly payments on all the debts as you snowball this. And then, of course, eventually you get to the largest debt, the debt with the biggest balance. And you're taking the monthly payments that you're paying for the other 2 that you paid off and rolling it over to the payments, additional payments for the 3rd one. So there's a snowball method there to eliminate debt. And of course, after you get rid of consumer debts, which are basically credit cards, personal loans, student loans, mortgage, things like that, then you attack your mortgage. I'm sorry, I said mortgage, personal loans, student loans, car notes, and credit cards. You pay all of those off first, and then of course you'll attack the mortgage last. And so that's his philosophy when it comes to debt. Now, does anyone know Robert Kiyosaki's logic when it comes to debt? Does anyone know his mindset when it comes to debt versus that of Dave Ramsey? If you know what it is, you can write it in the comment section. We're live here on This Morning talking about Dave Ramsey versus Robert Kiyosaki and their logic when it comes to their financial philosophies and principles. And so if you read the books, great. If you haven't read them, no problem. We're going to spend some time talking about their logic over the next few weeks. So that gives you time to read the books, gives you time to order the books and get them in. So as I go over it, you could join in on this great discussion on their logic and philosophies on finances, on debt and education and things like that. So when we look at Robert Kiyosaki and his logic when it comes to debt, really, he's not intimidated by debt. Robert Kiyosaki encourages that people use debt. But here's the caveat. Robert Kiyosaki says, learn how to use what he calls good debt. He says you should use good debt. And what is good debt? Because the average person, especially Dave Ramsey, will say all debt is bad. But Robert Kiyosaki says there's something called good debt. Now, I don't believe Robert Kiyosaki is a fan of personal debt, like just having credit card debt because you went shopping or getting a personal loan because you wanted to buy a boat. That's not what he's talking about. Robert would say those items create bad debt. Those situations create bad debt. When Robert Kiyosaki says, hey, you know what? His philosophy on getting debt, but it needs to be good debt. He's saying that the debt needs to be something that allows you to leverage OPM, other people's money. In other words, borrow money from the bank so that you can potentially buy an investment property, so that you can potentially invest in a business. And from that debt, it should bring in cash flow. So what he's saying is leverage OPM, other people's money, get debt, buy an asset, and when you buy that asset, it should then bring in money. It should bring in passive income. And if you can make more than what you have to pay monthly to service that loan, to service that debt, then Robert Kiyosaki is saying that you just created good debt. Remember, Dave Ramsey is saying, nah, I don't like it at all. It's all bad. And so those are the different philosophies when it comes to those two concerning debt. If you're just tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training, welcome. Make sure you jump in the comment section and say hello. And also know that we are talking about the philosophies, the financial philosophies of Dave Ramsey versus Robert Kiyosaki. And so as we talk about these things, the first subject was their philosophy on debt. And so Dave Ramsey believes in no debt. Robert Kiyosaki is saying, yes, debt, but get good debt. Debt that you can buy an asset that creates income, passive income that pays you so you can pay off the debt and have enough profit to put in your pocket. Of course, you know, there are people who run businesses. And if you have your own business, sometimes businesses have to or feel like they need to have loans. And when they get loans, that loan allows them to expand their business. That loan allows them to buy products. They can put product on the shelves or upgrade their machines or upgrade their technology, which will create more cash flow so they can pay off the loan and earn a profit and make money. So that's potentially using OPM. So good morning to Mrs. Wright, and also good morning to Timothy Scott. Happy to have you tuning in on today, Coach Steele's Finance Training, as we talk about the philosophy, the financial philosophies of these two gentlemen. Look at me, I'm right there in the middle. And that's kind of where I stand. So it's funny as we talk about this, you all can talk, say what direction you lean to. If you're more Dave than you are Robert, or if you're more Robert than you are Dave, or you might be right there in the middle, smack dab in the middle. So this is a great conversation on today as we talk about Dave Ramsey and Robert Kiyosaki. I'm going to go to the next point. Unless someone has any questions when it comes to their philosophies on debt. If you have questions, once again, this is called Coach Steele's Finance Training. So this is training. This is an opportunity for you to ask questions or be able to express yourself so that you can learn and get educated on financial literacy and take it up another level. As you're tuning in, make sure you share the live for other people to be able to see as well and dive in on this financial literacy conversation on this morning. We are live on YouTube and we are live on Facebook. So if you need to jump over to YouTube for whatever reason, feel free. I know usually on YouTube you can still be on YouTube and still hear other things as well. So just remember, Dave Ramsey is absolutely anti-debt, and he teaches that all debt is bad, even mortgage or business debt, and should be paid off ASAP. And then we have my friend Robert Kiyosaki. He is pro-strategic debt. He believes in good debt to buy income-producing assets like real estate that can grow wealth. All right, let's go to number 2. Normally, I stay on for about an hour. I don't think I'll be on for about an hour today. I think we can get through this in about 35, 40 minutes. So we'll see what happens. Number 2, as we talk about the difference in financial philosophies, investment approach. What is the investment approach? The mentality of these two gentlemen, and when it comes to investing. Does anybody know the difference between the two and what they believe when it comes to investing? And I'll tell you this. When it comes, we'll start with Dave. When it comes to investment approach, Total Money Makeover, Dave Ramsey, what he's teaching is he prefers conservative investing in mutual funds with long-term consistent returns. Mutual funds, long-term consistent returns. It's not too complicated. He's more of a set it and forget it. You have your 401k or IRA in place, and out of your paycheck, you automatically are setting it and forgetting it, setting up those that money to come right out of that check monthly, consistently, a certain amount. I think he recommends like 10%, but if you can do 15, that's great. But I think he recommends trying to do like 10% and consistent returns. And he focuses on stability and avoiding risk. So he's more so put your money in the stock market. And this is going to be interesting as we talk about his philosophy of just put your money in mutual funds, invest into your 401k, take the free money that your job is giving you as well, because they may match up to a certain percentage. And over a period of 30 years or however long you work, he says at that point you should have a decent amount of money. And so you should have a good, comfortable nest egg to live off of. Now, keep in mind, whether it's a 401k, an IRA, or a TSP, or 457, all of these different wealth retirement places where you can invest your money, when you start receiving distributions, when you finally start receiving that money, a financial advisor is going to tell you to take a certain percentage out monthly or annually, because if you don't take the right percentage out, it will deplete very, very fast. So you have to be very careful when you do that approach when it comes to these retirement vehicles, because over a period of time, it can deplete and potentially run out. So some people do prepare for retirement, or they do their best, and eventually they run out of money in their 401k or IRA, or wasn't enough. So anyway, that is one philosophy, one approach that Dave Ramsey has, as opposed to Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki says you should not wait 30 years. You should not invest into the stock market where you have no control for that long period of time just to create some passive income or to create retirement income. He thinks it's crazy, it's ludicrous to do that. So Robert's mindset is he promotes entrepreneurship, real estate, and cash flow investments, more aggressive and focused on financial education and being able to leverage money. And a lot of times you'll hear me talk about it here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. Why would you save up, $200,000? Let's see what 200,000 is. Why would you save up $200,000 in a 401k? And I'm not speaking against it. There's nothing wrong with doing it, but don't limit yourself to that. So just keep that in mind. If I save up $200,000 into my retirement account, and a financial advisor advises that I only take 4% annually so it doesn't deplete, then that's $8,000. But that's $8,000 divided by 12 months. That's about $667 a month. That is not enough to retire. So how much needs to be in my 401k for me to hit my target? Here's my point. I can buy an investment property for $100,000 or potentially less. But I only have to put, if it's $100,000, if I put $20,000 down because I'm investing in a property, so I got to put 20% down. 20% of $100,000 is $20,000. I put $20,000 down, whether it's a long-term rental or whether it's short-term Airbnb. Think about this. I can potentially, over a period of time, because rent is going to go up, I can make at least $1,000 a month profit off of that property. How much did I put in there? I only put $20,000 down. And I'm going to make that back because the tenant has to pay me over a period of time, right? So now I'm good. I've already made my profit back. I've already made my deposit back because I can potentially make $1,000 a month. But that never depletes. It never runs out. It never stops. So I can put 20,000 down on a property and make 1,000 a month, or I can take 30 years, 20 years, and put 200,000 into a 401k and only make potentially $700 a month. How many times can I duplicate doing the investment property versus duplicating this? And I make more with the real estate scenario over a period of time, and it doesn't deplete and run out. So that's why Robert Kiyosaki has that mindset of learn how to be an entrepreneur, create a business, get into real estate, because his philosophy also comes with tons of tax benefits. So if you're invested into real estate has a lot of tax shelters. If you're an entrepreneur, it opens up other tax benefits for you as well. So taking this route of Robert Kiyosaki's philosophy when it comes to investments, not only does it create passive income, not only is it easier and quicker to hit your financial target dates, but also there's a lot of tax shelters and benefits. And from that, you end up saving more money than you have to give out to Uncle Sam. And if you are able to keep more money at the end of the year, instead of having to pay it in taxes, you can grow wealth faster. That's another property you can go buy. There's another business you can invest in. Dave Ramsey, there's some tax benefits to having a 401k. Your money is growing untaxed for a certain period of time until you start drawing it. So there's some benefits there as well. Plus your job in a 401k is giving you some free money by matching to a certain percentage. So that's something that you should look at too. As we talk about that, check and find out what your job, if you have a 401k and you're putting money in there, to what percentage, what amount are they matching what you put in there? So you'll know how much free money you're getting, because you may then decide, okay, well, if they're giving me, if they're matching up to 3%, 5%, or whatever it is, you may decide, okay, I'm only going to put the amount that they're matching, and then I may do some of this over here while I go do some real estate investing or start a business. So you don't miss out on the free money, but you can also be creative and create some other opportunities for yourself. That's where I believe doing both of them will merge and work good for a lot of people, merging both of those investment approaches together. All right. So that is number two, their investment approach and their logic there. If you have questions, if you have comments, feel free to leave your thoughts or your comments in the chat section, in the comment section. I will see all of it. And so here at Coach Steele's Finance Training, we are a community of people that are talking about financial literacy and educating everyone to make this so much easier and simpler to understand. So we make the complicated simple. We break it down. That way we don't have to overthink it or be nervous or operate in fear and not take action when it comes to our finances. All right, let's go to number 3. Let's see what we have here. Number 3, I find this very interesting when it comes to both of these gentlemen. One of the major differences between these two, and it doesn't really necessarily have to do with their logic when it comes to finances, it's their target audience. That's number 3. Their target audience is so interesting, and I find it intriguing why they chose a certain target audience. And when you understand where you fit in and why they choose their audience, you'll understand them better. So if you ever study the two, and I've studied both of these gentlemen extensively, I'm just doing an overall view today, and then we'll dive in deep into both books, a little more in depth about Robert Kiyosaki and what he's teaching here, and Dave Ramsey and what he's teaching in Total Money Makeover. Dave Ramsey has basically tried to simplify and dumb down financial literacy in a positive way and create a financial plan and blueprint that is foolproof, it can't fail, and whether you are elite or super intelligent, or whether financially, or whether you struggle financially and you only need the basics, Dave Ramsey has created a blueprint that if you follow these steps, you should have success financially. It is very, very safe, very, very conservative. And so Dave Ramsey is looking at the people as a whole. He's not looking at a niche or a certain target. He's saying no matter who you are, come one, come all, I have a blueprint that can help you out, no matter where you are as far as finances. But it's very conservative. It's aimed at people, Dave Ramsey, he aims at people in financial trouble or early in their journey and just need some good financial foundation. He has baby steps that are step-by-step plans for financial peace. So definitely keep that in mind when you look at Dave Ramsey and what he's teaching. And so Dave Ramsey isn't going to tell you about investing into assets and real estate and things like that, like Robert Kiyosaki is, to create passive income. Dave Ramsey will talk about it and say, yeah, it's a good idea, but he will not want you to leverage OPM at a certain point, leverage other people's money to create passive income like Robert Kiyosaki would. Dave Ramsey would say, save up a certain amount of money so that you can buy the investment property. And then now that you own that investment property in full, then you can receive the passive income from it. Robert Kiyosaki isn't going to tell you to save up the money for the investment property. He will tell you use OPM, get a loan, a mortgage that the tenant will pay back over a period of time as well. All right, so let's see here. Robert Kiyosaki focuses on people looking to become wealthy and independent through financial education, a little risk taking, and business building. So that's the difference there between the two. And you have to learn, like let's say you want to take the Robert Kiyosaki approach, you have to learn how to use OPM wisely. If you are going to do it, if you are going to leverage debt, if you're going to leverage equity in a property, you have to know your numbers. You have to be very wise in this so that you don't over leverage yourself and then you have a lot of debt weighing on you. And keep in mind, Dave Ramsey is saying don't use OPM, don't over leverage yourself in debt, because Dave Ramsey years ago, he used to be in real estate. He had a lot of properties and then there was a crash, a real estate crash, and he lost a lot of money and he messed up his finances and his household and everything. And so you have to keep in mind, sometimes when someone had a past negative traumatic experience in their life, it can also dictate their thought process moving forward. All right, we are back and I'm back connected. Appreciate everybody's patience. Not sure what happened there. There we go. Get this right back on track. All right, I don't have any quit in me, guys. We're going to get through this. All right, so Dave Ramsey's past may have affected his mindset and logic when it comes to being a little risky or diving into real estate like Robert Kiyosaki has. And so never allow someone's past or the negative things that they experience to dictate and control what you may decide to do or what financial risk you may decide to take. because he may have done it in a way that was not wise. And so if you can do it in a way that is wiser, then you can have the success, and you don't have to have the fears that Dave Ramsey may have had himself because of the positions that he put himself in. Robert Kiyosaki, like I said, he's going to tell you, be an entrepreneur. Robert Kiyosaki, when it comes to investing, he's going to tell you not only to be a business owner, but also invest. Be creative. Find a way to work, to not have to work a regular 9 to 5. That's what Robert Kiyosaki is going to say. That way you can get back your time, you can get back your energy, and not be on someone else's clock and be limited to what they are willing to pay you for your time. He's saying Robert Kiyosaki is saying value your time more than anything and get that control back. So as you're tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training, we did have a little problem there where the might have been the internet or something like that. We're paused for a second, but we're back on track. Thank you for everyone who's tuning in. Make sure you share this live as we are talking about Robert Kiyosaki and Dave Ramsey and their financial philosophies and the differences between the two. As we talk about them, feel free to jump in the comment section, and you can feel free to share your thought process on their logic as we go through these different topics. So that was, we did number 3, talking about their target audience. So target audience for Robert, he's looking for people who want to become wealthy, who want to be independent through financial education, risk-taking, and business building. Dave Ramsey is looking more so at people at a starting point, or people who've completely jacked up their finances and need to go back to ground zero and get that blueprint. And so, like I said, Dave Ramsey looks at the world, or this country as a whole. He looks at everybody big picture and said there's more people that don't understand financial literacy than there are the amount of people that Robert Kiyosaki believes can be business owners, become wealthy, create passive income. So Dave Ramsey is teaching principles and philosophies that reaches the masses. And what I would tell everyone is, yes, Dave Ramsey is a good place to start. Foundational wise, getting disciplined, getting focused financially. Dave Ramsey, people like me, Coach Steele's Finance Training, your foundation, getting that solid, being disciplined financially, learning basic fundamentals and principles is the best place to start. But once you get there, you're going to find yourself leaning more towards this logic, but you got to get the fundamentals down. What happens is some people want to go here first, but they don't have the fundamentals first. And when you don't have the fundamentals first, if you try to go here, even if you have success, you end up throwing it away, you end up losing wealth. It slips through your hands before you know it, because there were no fundamentals. There was no foundation on how to manage, budget, structure, have discipline financially. And so those are the differences in the target audience. All right. Number 4. Let's get to number 4. Number 4 is pretty simple. Don't have to take too long on it. I talk about it all the time here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. Let's see here. I'm not able to post it. Somebody watching might be able to type it in. But number 4 is their view on credit cards. Both of them have different views when it comes to credit cards. Pretty simple. Dave Ramsey says never use them. He says cut them up completely. And so Dave Ramsey is anti-credit cards at all costs. He doesn't care how disciplined you are, how focused you are, how well you manage money. He is going to speak against credit cards at all times. Robert Kiyosaki is saying use them responsibly for leverage and for credit building. Dave Ramsey doesn't necessarily care about a credit score. He says there's other ways that you can still acquire things without a credit score. Some people complain and say, well, Dave, you need a credit score to be able to get a car. Dave Ramsey will say, well, just save up the money for the car. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. But if you listen to his fundamentals and his teaching, you can save up money for a car. The problem is a lot of people don't want to wait. They'll say, well, I don't have a car right now and I need to get to work, and the work is paying the bills. So therefore, and he has some other options and things that he would tell you to try before you just get the card and using your credit. And same thing with a house. Dave Ramsey teaches that you don't need necessarily a credit score to get a house. There are other ways to get a loan for a house besides running your credit. Robert Kiyosaki is saying using them responsibly. I kind of do both. I tell people if you suck at being financially disciplined, if it's not your thing, if it's not your strength, then leave those credit cards alone completely. Don't even mess with them. It's not worth it to put yourself back into a hole. If you are responsible and you do want to use a card, I tell everyone it's simple. Find out when the charge date is for that credit card. Find out when the due date is. Basically, when are they going to charge you interest for that balance? And once you find out the date that they're going to charge you interest for that balance, every single month, make sure you pay that credit card in full, same as cash, but enjoy whatever cashback rewards, hotel points, or mileage. So if the credit cards are used wisely and you leverage them wisely, then you can actually save yourself some money. Now, Dave Ramsey will not teach that because he thinks people as a whole are going to mess it up. They're going to jack it up and they're not going to be responsible. They're not going to pay it off. They'll say, oh, I forgot. So he's going to say, just leave them alone anyway, because the credit card companies are preying on you. And statistics have shown that more people leave the balance on there after the due date, and the credit card companies, financial institutions win. If you're disciplined and you have focus, then you can leverage the debt to save yourself money. I have a few friends, they get mileage for flights. And so they leverage the credit cards, pay them off in full, same as cash, before the charge date each month. And sometimes they go on trips for free as far as flying because they've saved up enough points for the mileage, leveraging those credit cards. So that's the mindset for those two gentlemen when it comes to credit cards. Let's get to number 5. We might almost be done. I think this is the last one. So it is 9:38 a.m. We are here live on Coach Steele's Finance Training, talking about Robert Kiyosaki and Dave Ramsey. And we are close towards the end. Number 5, if you're tuning in, is financial education. Both of their logics when it comes to financial education. So when it comes to financial education and Dave Ramsey's logic, he offers structured programs and radio advice rooted in discipline, budgeting, and faith-based principles. That's one of the major differences when it comes to the two. You'll hear, not to say they don't have the same spiritual beliefs or religious beliefs, but Dave Ramsey will teach and preach more about faith-based financial education than Robert Kiyosaki would. So that's one thing you'll find with Dave Ramsey. A lot of his logic and why he does what he does when it comes to finances, it's because of his beliefs and how he interprets the scripture, the word of God. And so that's why it's faith-based principles for Dave Ramsey. Now, what's interesting, when it comes to financial education, they are very, very similar in the way that they think about traditional education in America. And I'll get to that in a second. Now, Robert Kiyosaki, he teaches with books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, focusing on mindset, financial IQ. I have a lot of Robert Kiyosaki books. This is another one that he has as well. It's the cash flow quadrant that he teaches as well. So it's a lot of different purple and black books that Dave Ramsey has. So that Robert Kiyosaki has. Robert Kiyosaki teaches with books. He does conferences as well. He does short seminars. He teaches people real estate education, but it focuses on your mindset. I will say one thing about this gentleman is when he's writing, he's not necessarily teaching you a blueprint robotic to follow when it comes to finances. He's not trying to, Dave Ramsey is taking all the thinking out of it. Like, don't overthink the process. Keep it simple. Robert is saying, I want you to shift your thinking. I want you to shift your logic, get yourself out of the financial box that they placed you in and that they taught you in the education system. Get out of that. And I want you to shift your mindset, your financial IQ, and he's challenging traditional education. And so that's the difference between the two there. What's interesting is both gentlemen really aren't heavy on go to college. That's not their thing. They don't promote, go to a great college institution, go to a great university and get an education, because their mindset is, why would you take out thousands and thousands of dollars for a loan that is going to be difficult to pay back, and that is going to trap your future earnings, your future income, and now you're stuck paying the government or private institutions for the next 30 years for education that you only got for 4. So you paid for 4 years of education, you got 4 years of education, but you're taking 30 years to pay back the 4 years. So neither one of them are a believer in that. Robert Kiyosaki is definitely against the regular traditional education. Dave Ramsey would tell you, hey, well, if you can go to college and you start at a junior college and it's cheap and it doesn't cost much and you're not going to get in financial debt, then go ahead, have at it. Or let's say you got scholarships, you can get an education for free, you name it. Dave is fine with the traditional education, but make it as cheap and free as possible so you don't have tons of debt hanging over your head. And so when we look at those different logics behind from both gentlemen, their philosophy on debt, their investment approach, their target audience, their view on credit cards, and financial education, you see some differences. And but when it comes to financial education, you see some similarities. Sometimes they merge, but most times they're on two different sides of the spectrum. When you deal with and I'll say this before we end, when you deal with their approach as far as their investment approach logic, you have to understand Dave is saying invest in a mutual fund 20, 30 years, no matter what. And he'll tell you that over a period of time, the stock market is yielded back about 10 to 11% average annually. And so you have to learn the difference between average rate of return and actual rate of return. But we'll deal with that another day, and I'll do a video on that so you can understand. A lot of people has a philosophy and a mindset of, well, just dollar cost average, no matter what, dollar cost average, leave the money there. And so you have to understand there's nothing wrong with doing that, but understand the difference between average rate of return and actual rate of return. Long term, to understand why you're investing in what are your financial benefits, the pros and the cons when it comes to that. I appreciate everyone tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training on today. We're going to continue to keep dealing with these two gentlemen and their logic, so that way you can get in where you fit in and you can continue to be educated. Those are two gentlemen that I gleaned from and learned from years ago, and some of their principles you'll see me teach and talk about, but I put a remix on it and I do my own thing. And so I've merged their two mindsets to put myself in a very successful place financially, because when you understand the difference between the two, you understand the pros and cons of their mindsets. You understand the positives about what Dave is saying and some of the negatives about what he's saying, some of the logic about what he's saying and how it doesn't make sense when you get to a certain point. But then you also understand the maturity of why, when he's speaking to the masses, he's being financially responsible with his voice to not lead people astray. So anyway, appreciate everybody tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. I apologize for what happened. Somewhere in the middle of that, I think the Wi-Fi acted up a little bit, but we made it through. We're almost at about 45 minutes. Once again, subscribe to Coach Steele's Finance Training on YouTube. Go over there. Even if you listen on Facebook, make sure you subscribe, and also make sure you share this for someone else to listen. Feel free to comment. If you listen to this late, I go back and read the comments. I'd be interested to see what you have to say, and we'll be talking about these two gentlemen next week as well. You all